You know, one of the great things that EGIA brings to the industry is experts from all different disciplines in business, whether it be the service department, sales, marketing, and in this case today, leadership. With us today, we have one of the world's leading experts on leadership. He's a best-selling author, and frankly, he's basically the bomb when it comes to leadership. I want you to welcome with me now Mr. Steve Schallenberger. Steve, how you doing today?
Weldon, it is an honor to be with you today. I love Weldon Long. I mean, this is a guy that's done it himself. He knows how to run a successful company, how to make one happen, and how to overcome adversity. It's just a lot of fun to be with you, Weldon.
Talk to our viewers just for a moment about the importance of having a process to solve problems rather than just approaching it from a random kind of haphazard way.
Okay, yeah, that's excellent because it gets really to the heart of things. Imagine a pilot, has an assignment, and rather than go through the planning process, they just decide to jump in their jet and take off. I mean, I wouldn't want to be a passenger on that jet.
No.
On the other hand,
I was last week, by the way. I think I was last week. I think I was last week on a commercial flight. It was kind of a crazy flight.
Feels like it sometimes. Well, on the other hand, when you're flying in a jet, or if you have a fighter pilot, before they get into the cockpit, they've gone through a systematic checklist that helps them really think through the right things. So they get a consistent result, and it's not left up to chance. Well, that's exactly how the 6 steps are. And let me just, if you don't mind, I'll illustrate this one part of this. And of course, we're prepping up. We're excited for Rob to do the webinar for the EGIA group on January 23rd at 10 a.m. Pacific time. This is going to be a big time webinar because he's going to help everybody be able to actually apply it right then. But at any rate, if you think about this type of result, most people, I'm just going to give this one example. When they have a problem, whether it's in business or in their own life, they start actually with the problem. But contrary to kind of a natural instinct, that's exactly the wrong place to start. And so that's why step number 1 is to ask the question, what is the vision? In other words, in this area, you're exercising leadership to shift the playing field from what is the problem to what is the vision. And that is far different when you're looking at it from that perspective, because when people begin with the problem, so often it's tied up with emotion. Sometimes you have to struggle with, well, am I right or wrong? Or are they right or wrong? It could be overwhelming. It could be really heavy. And so it actually is a difficult place to start. But as soon as you shift it to the vision, it gives a whole new light and clarity. So that simple process is step 1. And that is a good example.
Well, and that's really interesting because you're right. The natural tendency when something bad happens, a customer service problem, a financial problem, a personal problem, the natural human tendency is say, wow, what is this problem? What happened here? How do we fix this problem? And what you're suggesting, I think, Steve, is that don't worry about that right now. You got time to fix that. Let's get back to what did you want it to be? What would it look like? What was the vision, to use your word? What would you like it to look like? One of the things I've learned in life, and I've been through a lot of trauma in my life and living on the streets and prison, all these things, one of the things I learned to getting my life better, my business better, was about asking better questions, right? To ask different questions. And what you're telling us right here is don't ask the question like, how did this happen? Ask the question, well, what would have been ideal to have happened, right? So at least that gives us a place to where we want to go. You also mentioned something that I think is so important, consistency. Consistent results come from consistent activities, right? A lot of times people expect, consistent results to come from random activities. What you're offering is here through the Transformation Challenge, the webinar, as you mentioned, coming up that your son's going to be doing on the 23rd of January. The reality is, once we have a way to consistently approach the problems, we have a better chance at getting consistently good outcomes. Einstein said you can't fix a problem at the same level of thinking that created the problem. So you're telling us we got to have a new way of thinking.